Jeepies, I'm your host Sid, and welcome to Do Talking to Me's Scooby-Doo's Day. This time I'll be talking about Scooby-Doo Where Are You Episode 5, Decoy for a Dognapper. Going into this episode, I have to reiterate that with the first half of Scooby-Doo Where Are You's first season, there was a lot of low-key experimentation going on with the premise, and this episode is a prime example of that, and likely one of my least favorite episodes of the original series. The episode begins unusually for a Scooby episode, in broad, uncreepy daylight with Scooby trying to romance a poodle, but said poodle is dognapped.
Stop! Coming back here! Help! My princess has been dognapped!
This instigates a rare instance in which Scooby is actually a proactive member of the team, insisting that something must be done about this.
Gang, we've just been handed our next mystery.
You know, it's weird, Scooby was shown just wandering around by himself. I never really thought of him as being independent. Amid all the recent dognappings, the gang interviews one of the victims in this case, Buck Masters, who is convinced that this has to have something to do with a dog show being held soon. All the dogs that had been kidnapped were contestants.
Now on, all dog owners must be on their guard.
Solid enough lead to go on, so the gang decide to have Scooby become a decoy for one of the Great Danes in the contest, actually properly taking care of him for once. Honestly, Scooby looks virtually the same except for wearing a different collar, but it's still enough of a difference to fool the dognappers into making him the latest victim, and the gang has to desperately track down their beloved pooch.
They got him!
Decoy for a Dognapper is a different episode for sure, a change of pace. Unlike most episodes where the criminal activity is progressively discovered later, the criminal activity is completely transparent here. There's a Dognapper on the loose, and normal people seem to be responsible for it. Not that there isn't a monster though, but it's also one of the rare instances where we see a villain dressed as a monster but totally not in character dealing with an underling who is clearly just a regular guy. I don't know why the dude is dressed like that with nobody else around, but okay.
So you got Miller's Great Dane. Good work, Mike. Let's have a look.
This is 7 minutes into the episode before establishing anything supernatural, and this scene is the introduction of the villain. I think this is the only time in Scooby-Doo history where the villain is set up from the get-go as a human being. In this case, the villain is a supposed Native American ghost witch doctor, and he only has a couple other brief scenes in the episode actually in character, warning the kids to go away by shaking a maraca.
Leave this place, pale-faced intruders, or suffer fate of Spanish conquistadores, buried in desert below.
Yeah, he's kinda lame, honestly, and he's been overshadowed by another similarly designed witch doctor that appears later in the series. Once Scooby has been revealed to be an ordinary talking Great Dane, the Dognapper actually pushes him down a railway car, hoping to kill him, but the gang manages to rescue Scoob. Wow. There admittedly is not much of a mystery in this episode. There's only one suspect, and at this point, I don't think I need to hide the fact that if there's only one suspect, that suspect is probably the villain. Because of this, the episode is heavier on gags throughout to try to pad out the story. The premise of the episode is interesting. It has a totally different approach from the rest of the series, where the gang are on a stakeout, and somehow they're shown to have sophisticated FBI computer equipment, probably bought by Daphne's dad or something. That's the thing, the contents of the mystery machine are constantly in flux. It's usually empty unless something needs to be there for the plot. While there isn't much of a mystery inherent to the episode involving the witch doctor, a lot of the plot is just the gang trying to track down the hideout of the Dognappers, who I guess is just a contingency used a nearby deserted Native American village as a hideout and even created a projected ghost Indian to scare people off. Hoo boy. Feels a lot like this episode was another attempt at creating a mystery that's more like a Hardy Boys / Nancy Drew case, but last minute they decided it needed a monster. The episode is unique, but it feels like it's making an effort to turn the show into something it isn't by emulating the kid mystery stories of the past, and it's not as compelling. Eventually the dogs are found, the villain is tracked down, and quickly thwarted. Revealed to be Buck Masters. Big shocker, but he does say an early prototype to the meddling kids sign-off.
He's the Dognapper.
You blasted kids. Why didn't you mind your own business?
Buck was trying to guarantee that his dog would win the dog show by kidnapping the other dogs, and that's basically it. At the end, I guess it's revealed that Shaggy's afraid of Native Americans in general. Decoy for a Dognapper is a great look into the series' development, but just not one of my favorites. It could possibly be the worst episode of the original series. I give it 2 boxes of Scooby snacks out of 5. Want a double dose of Scooby every Tuesday? Support the channel on Patreon or channel memberships and you'll get a bonus episode commentary. The link to this episode's commentary on Patreon is in the description below. If you like this episode, like it, and if you loved it, subscribe for more and click the bell icon to keep track of when future videos and live streams go live. I'd like to thank the true Wolfulite supporters of the Dr. Wolfula Patreon and channel memberships for their pledges. Their support is greatly appreciated and helps the channel continue to grow. Thanks guys. See you all in the next episode of Do Talking to Me. Jeepies.